Generally speaking, the city of Durban and its adjacent beachfront is not associated with activities of a high-velocity nature, but that changes on one weekend every year when Durban hosts the South African round of the A1 Grand Prix World Cup of Motorsport. The international event, held on a specially built street circuit, boasts varied entertainment and colourful parades for its many spectators, few of whom ever get to witness the spectacle of circuit racing up close and personal. They got a bonus at last weekend's Durban street race, when the activities included rounds 1 and 2 of this year's Bridgestone SA Production Car Championship. The Nissans of Leroy Poulter and Richard Rutz headed up the Class A grid for Saturday's opening race, followed by the Audi of Melville Priest and Etienne van der Linde's BMW. In Class T, Volkswagen Golf GTI drivers Graham Nathan and Heinz Bozay would start ahead of Mini Cooper S pilots Garth Boberski and Robert Volk.
First race underway and down towards turn number 1. It's Leroy Poulter who gets the jump on the start. Richard Rutz slots into second place and Melville Priest is up into third. He's got Etienne van der Linde and Gary Vermato on his outside. Coming down into this treacherous little hairpin here. Looks like, oh, action already! Can you believe it? The My Car Audi has bumped one of those Castle BMWs. I think that's Etienne van der Linde. And he's gone right to the back of the field, and there's Claire Vale, and all problems for Robert Volk in the Finter Parts Mini as well. First 3 cars through, and no problems for them, though. It's all Nissans at this point in time. Leroy Poulter leading Richard Rutz, and then Gary Vermato's right on his tail. It's the 2 Sassel Nissans, and they're sandwiching the dealer team Nissan of Richard Rutz. Then we got Sean Watson-Smith, Shop Sapuka. Then we got Michael Steven. The first of the BMWs is Anthony Taylor. He's way down there. We see Peter Lindenberg going through, and the first of the Golf GTIs. Look at this, Graham Nathan. First time out, and he's already leading Class T. He's going to be a man to watch out for this season, there's no doubt, in that Webcom Golf GTI. The My Car Sonex Audi of Melville Priest starting to make his way through as we see Heinz Bozay there in second place with a Castrol Mini of Garth Boberski right on his tail and pushing hard. Can you believe how these boys are pushing in this very tight circuit down in Durban? Designed specifically for A1 Grand Prix cars. It's the first time that the production cars have come down to A1, and it's great to have them here. First round of the Westbank Super Series taking place here, and it's championship points that are up for grabs in this first heat. Across the line to complete lap number 1. No one is going to catch Leroy Poulter by the looks of things. He's starting to open up a huge gap. Speaking of closing down gaps, here comes Etienne van der Linde. He's the man who was bumped in the first corner. He's made up a lot of ground. He's looking to go around the outside of the teammate of the man who bumped him. That's Johan Free in the MD Transport Audi. The man who bumped him is a little bit further back in the field. We saw him a bit earlier trying to get through some of the Golf GTIs. Sean Watson-Smith starting to put some pressure onto the back of Gary Vermato now. Is he going to be able to get through there? Richard Rutz is absolutely flying at the moment. Keep an eye out on him. He's going to be a man to catch Leroy Poulter. If anybody is going to be able to do it, it's going to be him. As they go through the Telkom chicane now, down a little straight away, and then they'll head into a smaller chicane. It's really tight. Oh, look at that. Richard Rutz having to take evasive action of something. Something went wrong there. I think he was just late on the brakes and had to straighten up that chicane. That might have done a bit of damage to the car. We'll keep an eye and see what happens there. Here he comes back down the back straight away. Bits and pieces of car all over the road. Sean Watson-Smith looking to go up the inside of Gary Vermato. He's got the line. Is he going to be able to hang on to it as they come into this very tight right-hander? This takes them past their own pit building, and it comes up onto the brakes, and yes, indeed, it's the Engine Extreme Audi who's got ahead of the Sassel Nissan of Gary Vermato. Sapuka right onto the tail of Gary Vermato as they came through that corner. It looks like you can see there might be a problem there with Gary's car, and that wing mirror we saw earlier is actually off the side of Gary's car. The rest of the field comes streaming through there. Just behind Sapuka, it's Michael Steven. Then we've got Anthony Taylor. Taylor looking for a way past as well. Unfortunately, BM's not having the pace that they'd like this early in the season. The Audis and Nissans dominating up front. Remember that we've got 3 Subarus involved there as well, with Peter Lindenberg, Darby Olafia and Claire Vale. I'm sure we'll get to see them a bit later on in this race. But Sapuka looking for a way past his teammate. And is he going to be able to find one down the main straightaway as they cross the line to start another lap? Look at the gap that Leroy Poulter has opened up on Richard Rutz, and Rutz is under some serious pressure from Sean Watson-Smith. Watson-Smith goes up the inside. Well, he runs a bit wide. He was very late on the brakes. Richard Rutz comes straight back at him, but you can see that there's definitely a problem with Rutz's car. It looks like Rutz is battling there with some kind of suspension problem, because he's really having a tough time of it when he's on the brakes. But he's hanging on at this point in time, and it's a great effort from Richard Rutz in the Posel Safe Drive car. Down towards the Telkom chicane they come. Let's have a look and see if it's going to affect him through here, because this is very hard braking here. Yes, indeed, look at the way that Rutz gets out of shape there. And there's definitely a problem in that Nissan 350Z of Richard Rutz. Sean Watson-Smith sees that there's a problem. He knows he's going to be able to get him down the back straight. He's just setting him up. And is he going to be able to blast past like he did? Yes, indeed. And he looks like he's going to take Gary Vermato with him. No, Richard Rutz shuts the door. I think Roots might realize that he is in the Nissan dealer team and he needs to assist his fellow Nissan drivers if he has a problem. He does indeed. He moves over, and it looks like he's going to allow Gary Formato and Chop Sapuka to come through. I'm not quite sure if he's going to do the same thing to Michael Stephen and Anthony Taylor. No, not indeed. He just shuts the door and makes his car very slippery and slidey. Oh, there's definitely a problem with that car. Rootsy is battling to hang on to that postal Nissan of his. The rest of the Nissans not having any hassles at this point in time other than that wing mirror that's missing on Gary Formato's car. But as they go now around the right-hander and head up towards that main straightaway, it's going to be Leroy Palter who's still leading up front. It's Sean Watson-Smith now who's in second, and then the two Sasol Nissans of Gary Formato and Chop Sapuka as the rest of the field come through there. Look at the gap that Melville Priest has made up as well. Remember, he was involved with Etienne van der Linde right at the beginning of the race in turn one, and he's right up behind him now, and they're on the tail of his teammate, that man, Johan Fourie, in the MD Transport Audi. Across the line they come to start another lap. This is really awesome racing, and considering that there's just concrete barriers left, right and center of the circuit, you've got to be so careful not to make any mistakes. Looking up the inside goes Michael Stephen, and he's pipped one of the Nissans. Can you believe it? That's Chop Sapuka he's taken out there. That's a big pity there, because Sapuka was on with a chance of getting into the podium positions. And speaking of some more havoc, here we go. It's Anthony Taylor who gets, I think he might have just got a little nudge there from Richard Roots, I'm not quite sure. But it's Anthony Taylor who's put his BMW into the wall. Have a look at this in slow motion again. That is Michael Stephen going into the side, or the backside of Chop Sapuka. Just trying to pick up what happens between Roots and Taylor. Toe. Yeah, that's exactly what they need to do, that vehicle. Unfortunately, that is some serious problems there for those cars involved. And Chop Sapuka falling way back into the field now. This is also a very good battle that's raged right the way through. That's Marco Acuna and the Tubular Tech Nissan dealer team car. And right on his tail is the ND Transport Audi of Johan Fourie, looking for a way past all the time. You can see that Nissan 350Z has got a few battle scars on it as they come down towards the first turn. Looks like Marco Acuna's got a problem here. Yes, he's left. He's braking a little bit too late, and he's gone into the wall. Can you believe it? A big mistake there from Marco Acuna. He was under immense pressure from Johan Fourie, though, and that's probably what caused him to miss the braking point. And, of course, with all the concrete around him, it's not easy to pick up on that braking point. There you see him just getting out of shape, and bang, into the wall. What a pity there for Marco Acuna in the Tubular Tech Safe Line car. Back to the battle of the Vic Maharaj Racing Audis. It's Johan Fourie who's just ahead of Melville Priest there. The MD Transport car ahead of the My Car Sonex car. And here comes Etienne van der Linde. Well, he's made up a lot of ground considering him and Melville Priest were involved in that first corner incident. He's now right on the tail of Gary Formato, who can pick up that car pretty easily because it hasn't got a left-hand side mirror. There he comes, Gary Formato, number 22, Sasol Nissan 350Z, and he's hanging on to that third spot for dear life. He's got a BM and two Audis that won fast in a big way. And as they go down towards turn number one, are we going to see some more action between those BMs and Audis? This is the overtaking maneuver for Johan Fourie to get past. A great bit of driving there for Fourie. The door was open. Melville Priest, unfortunately, trying to keep Anthony Taylor at bay. And here they go into the first turn. It's a big, tight hairpin. And as they come out of that, it looks like it's side-by-side action here between van der Linde and Fourie. Van der Linde's got the inside line, though, for the next turn, so he should hang on to that fourth spot. He does indeed. And Johan Fourie just has to go back in line astern to complete another lap and another corner as they come down towards the Telkom chicane. This is going to be tight stuff between these boys. Two Audis, a BM and a Nissan. Are they going to fit through this tight chicane? No, they're not. They're going to go through there. Line astern. No antics at the moment as they go up towards the other chicane. Right, back in the field. Looks like Acunha's got going again, but we're watching the battle between the two Golf GTIs. It's the Webcom car on the left-hand side of Graham Nathan and the privately entered BP Golf GTI there of Heinz Bozé, who's leading. Nathan looking for a way up the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? No. Bozé just shuts the door and says, you're going to have to work harder than that, Graham. Graham Nathan coming from Volkswagen Polo Cup Series and now joining the GTI brigade in Class T. It's great to have so many GTIs in the Class T for this South African Bridgestone Production Car Championship. Here's the battle we want to see, though. This is for fourth position, and can you believe it? The third place man is leading at this point, and they are battling for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth here. And here comes the My Car Sonex Audi, and look at this again. Can you believe it? He's clipped the same person in the same corner, and van der Linde is not going to be happy about that. He says, take that. See if he can get going. I think he might have actually done some damage to his car there. Yes, indeed. Van der Linde's suspension at the back of the car is completely wrecked. And unfortunately, I think that might be the end of his race. But Castrol BMW are not going to be happy about that. And I'm sure the clerk of the course is going to have something to say about this incident. There you can see the Sonex My Car Audi of Melville Priest trying to go up the inside of his teammate. His teammate even had to take evasive action. And, well, the Castrol BMW unfortunately came off worse for wear there. Etienne van der Linde, twice in one race, being taken out by the same man. That ain't going to go down too well with the clerk of the course. Hopefully they'll sort that out, though, and we'll have that all sorted by the next heat. Van der Linde there, as you can see from another angle, just almost getting clipped by the MyCar Sonics Audi of Melville Priest, and then just clipping him back and saying, take some of your own medicine back. Unfortunately, that cost him a little bit of a bit more damage than what was required. There's one of our Subarus in the front of the picture here. That's Claire Val, the only lady driver in the West Bank Super Series. It's good to see her out there in the metal paints Subaru. But here comes the leader, and that's the gap he's got over second place man Sean Watson-Smith. Leroy Poulter in the Sassel Nissan, absolutely dominating here in Durban so far. Third place still Gary Formato, although he has slowed down a bit. I think he might have just been it easy. You don't want to take it too easy with a man like Johan Free in the MD Transport closing you down, even though he's been involved in a little bit of fracas right at this particular point that we're going through at the moment. But it's Gary Formato who's in third place. Then it's the two Audis. They're still circulating. You see Melville Priest there still in fifth place. He's going to be under some scrutineering and some questioning from the clerk of the course, I'm sure. Looks like Richard Rutz is still out there as well. He's circulating just to try and get as many points as possible. Remember, this is a championship round, even though we only got Class A and T down at the A1 Grand Prix. But it's all about this man, Leroy Poulter. He's finished the season with a win, and he looks like he's going to be starting the season with a win as well in the Sassel Nissan. He has problems though. Robert Volk parked in the middle of the circuit. They might call for a red flag, and if we get a red flag at A1, unfortunately, let's see what happens with Robert's car. There you can see the back wheel just disintegrating there. I think a big suspension problem on that Mini Cooper S. And I think he might have just clipped the curb there, which has done damage to the right rear side. Yes, indeed, the red flag coming out. And as I said earlier, well, I was about to say earlier, the red flag may cause the race to be stopped completely. They've done enough laps. And because we're running on a tight schedule here at the A1 Grand Prix, that's going to make that ban come through in the first place. Leroy Poulter is going to take it ahead of Sean Watson-Smith. And I think Gary Formato will finish up in third place. They'll go a lap back after the incident, and that'll give the final results for race number 1.
Poulter finished 5 seconds ahead of Watson-Smith with Gary Formato's Nissan, Etienne van der Linde's BMW, plus the Audis of Johan Fourie and Melville Priest rounding up the top 6 places. Heinz Bozay won Class T in his Golf GTI, followed by the similar Volkswagen of Graham Nathan and the Mini Cooper S of Garth Verbesky. Join us for more spectacular Bridgestone production car racing action straight after the break. The Bridgestone production car administrators took a dim view of the many car crunching incidents during Saturday's race. They took stern action and laid down some rigid ground rules before the start of Sunday's event. Various drivers found guilty of employing overly robust tactics on Saturday would have to carry penalty weight in their cars. They would also compete under strict observation, the equivalent of given a yellow card in soccer or rugby. Sean Watson-Smith and Leroy Poulter shared the front row of the Class A grid ahead of Etienne van der Linde and Johan Fourie, while Graham Nathan, Heinz Bozay, Volk and Garth Verbesky would lead the Class T field.
Race 2 promises to be just as exciting as race 1. We're here on Sunday now, day after the first race, and a huge crowd has joined us to see the Bridgestone production cars racing down towards turn number 1, and it's Sean Watson-Smith on pole position who takes the whole shot down into turn 1. On his tail, the man who won yesterday's race, that's Leroy Poulter. And the rest of the field streaming through there. Here comes Class T, Graham Nathan on pole there, and he's got the whole shot as well for the Class Ts in the Webcom Golf GTI. Engine Extreme Audi leading Sassel Nissan, then it's Castrol BMW, MD Transport Audi, then we've got the Bosel Nissan 350Z there, and these boys are not going to hold back today. There's a monstrous crowd here coming to watch the A1, and they're here to see Bridgestone production cars in full effect as well. Out of Telkom chicane and heading down the little straightaway that takes them to the next part of the circuit, a very tight and twisty chicane here. Not easy to get through for these big cars. They managed to get through pretty simply at the moment, and no damage so far. A lot of men on yellow cards and being watched very closely by the scrutineers as well as the clerk of the course. So they don't want to distress too much, otherwise they could cost them big time and have DNFs and no points for this round. Down the back straightaway they come now and heading into the turn that takes them past their own pit lane. It's a very difficult pit lane to get in. And unfortunately, if anybody does distress during this race, they'll have to keep circulating because there is no entrance to the pit lane for the production cars. They have to just keep circulating in amongst the pack and wait until the race has come to a complete stop. Right, at this point in time, it's Engine Extreme Audi who leads Sassel Nissan. It's Sean Watson-Smith from Leroy Poulter. Then we've got one of the BMs thrown in there for good measure, and it looks like it is Etienne van der Linde. At the back of the field, it's Taylor in the Castrol BMW. He's right at the back, unfortunately, due to that big crash. And he finished up so way down the field in the first heat on Saturday that he's had to start at the back with a completely rebuilt car. A good effort there from the Castrol BMW team to get that car back onto the circuit for today's second heat. As they head down towards turn number 1 now, this is where all the action happened in the first race on Saturday. And are we going to see more action? Plenty, I'm sure we are, amongst these top A-class competitors. Sassel 350Z. Oh, looks like it's Melville Priest who's starting to get in amongst those Castrol BMWs once again. He's going to be watched very closely by the clerk of the course in that Sonex My Car Audi. He's now right behind Clint Weston. Clint Weston stepping up from Class T this year into a Castrol BMW for Class A. It's great to see that BMW hanging on to their top drivers and giving them opportunities to go up one class and compete with the big boys. The rest of the big boys come flying through here. That's Michael Stephen just ahead of Marco Acuna. Then the two Sassel Nissans of Chop Sapuka and Gary Formato. And then just behind them, it's this battle. The two Castrol BMWs sandwiching that Sonex Audi at this point in time. Down the back straight they come. Looks like Sean Watson-Smith is using a lot of his international experience in touring car days, in the British touring cars where they had a few road circuits to contend with. It looks like him and Leroy Poulter have been the men to beat this weekend, as we see Johan Free just in the background taking a slightly wider line to keep Etienne van der Linde at bay in 4th place. Richard Ritz looking for a way past Van der Linde as well. He's in the Bosel safe drive car, and is that car going to be able to get past? Because we saw it have some huge problems yesterday. Lots of suspension damage to that car, and he's been able to get it sorted out, and the Sam Racing team put a great effort in to get him back onto the circuit today. Here they come down into the final parts of the circuit. There's the pit lane entrance for A1 Grand Prix cars, but our cars, of course, will not be going in there. They come flying across the line to start another lap. Watson-Smith still leading Leroy Poulter, and I think it's going to be a battle between those two right down to the wire. Into the hairpin they come in the background. We can see the action between Van der Linde and Farid. Van der Linde looking for a way past. He goes around the outside. Looks like Richard Ritz is going to try something up the inside. Yes, indeed. A little nudge between the two of them, but Ritz has got through. Van der Linde comes off the brake, or got on the brakes there a little bit. Unfortunately, I think he might have missed a gear there, and that's given a little bit of a gap to Richard Ritz to get away, and it looks like the Cunha and Stephen looking for a way past Van der Linde as well. Slight mistake there from Van der Linde after he got clipped by Ritz in the hairpin. As they come down towards Telkom, let's see if any of those other cars are able to capitalize. Not at this point in time, though. Looks like Van der Linde has got his problem sorted out. Yes, indeed. Let's have a look at this once again. The door is open. Richard Ritz says, you cannot leave that door that wide open. I will come up the inside. Unfortunately, I think it's Richard Ritz's car that's had a little bit of damage, though. We'll get a slightly different angle here as they come into turn 1. Richard Ritz sees the door open, slots up the inside of that Castrol BMW, but unfortunately, I think he takes that, that's his plastic cover between the wheel arch and the engine that has come off there, and you can see a little bit of battle scars on that car as well, and it's starting to affect him immediately. I'm not quite sure if it's damaged some of the suspension, that little tap. It was only a small tap, but that 350Z is set up so well for this circuit. Unfortunately, I think it's starting to affect his handling, and there goes his teammate round his outside. Yes, indeed. Ritz starting to slow down, and it looks like he's going to just be circulating to try and get as many points as possible and hope that some of these other cars are going to be involved in some kind of fracas as well. Down the straightaway that takes them onto the final straight. Now they come onto the straight as we speak. It's Gary Formato just ahead of Michael Stephen there. Chop Sapuka's tucked in behind him. As the leaders going through, Johan Free in 3rd place, Etienne van der Linde is in 4th. That's the battle just behind between those Nissans and the Audi. And it looks like Michael Stephen looking to keep Chop Sapuka at bay. Yes, indeed, Sapuka has to just tuck in line astern. Then it's Weston. Then we've got Melville Priest in the Sonex My Car Audi. Then it's the third, I beg your pardon, of those Castrol BMWs, and that's Anthony Taylor. So Taylor, unfortunately, not able to get past that My Car Audi. They go through and down towards Telkom chicane. This is a really tight little section here. They're very hard on the brakes. They come through into this corner very quick, but very hard braking, and then they have to try and find a way past and squeeze through. And oh, look at Weston nearly squeezing himself into the Telkom wall there. That's how difficult it is to make a mistake on the circuit. The walls are very close to you, especially when you're clocking the circuit at close to 220 kilometers an hour as your maximum speed, and averaging about 140 kilometers an hour right the way around the circuit. So mistakes are easy to make. We saw a lot of them yesterday, and hopefully we won't see any more as they come down towards their pit area. Michael Stephen hanging on for dear life. Chop Sapuka looking for a way past him, though, and unfortunately not this time. Sapuka just setting him up maybe for a little bit later on in the circuit. The overtaking points on the circuit are definitely down towards number 1. Sapuka can get the drive on Michael Stephen onto the main straight. There's a good possibility that 350Z will have the power to get past the Quattro. Oh, we've got a problem here. The pace car, the MPS Mazda, is out on the circuit. I think we've got someone who's come off. Oh, looks like it might be Brian Martin in the Pretoria Noord Toyota. Looks like he's had a big one here. Let's have a look and see. Oh, sure, this is a really big one. Getting it up onto 2 wheels. Well, we didn't bring superbikes with us, but at least we've got someone who can put it onto 2 wheels for us. Here comes the reverse angle of that shot. Look at that. Up onto 2 wheels. clips the wall, comes slamming down again at Pretoria No Toyota. This is one of the first Toyotas to run this season, and of course it's running a 2-litre supercharged engine, but unfortunately that 2-litre supercharged engine did not help Brian Martin in this particular effort. He's had to park it. Fortunately, he parked it in the shade there. That's a good bit of driving there because it's very hot here in Durban, and the marshals have to remove that car, and while they're doing that, we will be under safety car conditions. So the laps continue, the race continues. They're not allowed to overtake. They'll have to sit behind that Mazda MPS, the official course car for A1 Grand Prix. And unfortunately, it looks like Brian Martin's not too happy about the way that the marshals are picking his car up, although that will be the end of the race for Brian Martin. We're under racing conditions. Once again, the MPS is off, and that Mazda has moved off, but it's Nissan and Audi that are looking to dominate up front now that Mazda has moved out of his way. Leroy Poulter looking to go around the outside. Looks like Johan Free's going to come up the inside, though. He's left the door open. They're side by side. A little touch there between the two of them, but that's okay. We were expecting a bit of door banging, and that's exactly what happened, though. But Leroy Poulter has got the inside line for turn number 2. And he hangs on to second place, but only just. The MD Transport Audi once passed, and Johan Free is pushing him already. There's only a couple of laps to go. I think there's about 3 laps to go here in this race as we start off the final section of race 2 at A1 Grand Prix for British Stone Production Cars. Out of Telkom chicane they come. This is where Brian Martin got it all squiggly. And let's see if the rest of the field can make it through. Well, looks like no problems for the first 3, first 5, first 6 cars. Here comes Chop Sapuka, and he's got some serious action on his tail now. And that, of course, is Anthony Taylor. Taylor has moved up a bit. Yes, indeed. Taylor's right on Sapuka's tail. He's managed to get the jump on Clint Weston and Melville Priest on the restart. In the background, we can see Michael Stephen coming under some pressure from Peter Lindenberg in the Ferrari Ram Subaru. So good to see that car is starting to get in amongst the top Class A contenders, a completely privateer team with a small amount of backing from Subaru to give them a good effort out there on the circuit. 3 Subarus out there, and of course at this point in time only 2 of them, Davy Olivier, having problems in the first heat. Here is the battle we want to see, though, between Sapuka and Taylor. Taylor looking all over the back of him, looking for a way past. Sapuka shuts the door. Good bit of driving there from Chop Sapuka and Anthony Taylor. Taylor has also had an experience overseas with some street car racing and some street circuit racing when he went across to Australia to do some testing for the Australian V8 supercars. So he's going to be used to the conditions that a street circuit of this nature can provide. And Anthony Taylor looking to use that experience to get past Chop Sapuka. Sapuka taking evasive action as they come through that final turn. He's not going to open the door on the right-hand side because he knows that Taylor will get past. Although Taylor says, well, I'll try something around the outside and maybe that'll work. Not this time. Sapuka keeps it very tight, and a nice bit of driving there by Chop Sapuka to keep Anthony Taylor at bay. Is he going to be able to do it for the rest of this lap, though? I think Taylor is going to pressurize him big time. A little bit further back there, we saw Class T, and it's still Graham Nathan who's leading at this point in the Webcom Golf GTI. The rest of the field streaming through there in Class A. They're really pushing hard. That's Sapuka, Taylor. Then we've got Melville Priest, Clinton Weston, car 26. That's the third of the Castrol BMWs, doing a great job for his first outing in Class A. There's nothing in it between these guys. You can see how close it is. It's very difficult to pass here. You've got to just time it absolutely perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the concrete. Taylor's looking to do just that as they go down the back straight away. He's going to get the drive on Chop Sapuka. Sapuka got out of that turn quite well. He's managed to get a little bit of a gap on Taylor. I don't think Taylor's close enough to try anything down into this right-hander that brings them past their own pit lane. No, he's a little bit further back than what he wanted to be. I don't think he got the drive out of that turn, but he's very good on the brakes. Comes straight back at Chop Sapuka as they come through this turn. Melville Priest on the back end as well. He's looking to capitalize on any mistakes made by those 2 drivers in the BM and Nissan. As the rest of the field ahead of them is streaming through. D'Cunha looking pretty good as well in the second of the Nissan dealer team cars. This is what it's all about. This is the battle we've been watching for the last couple of laps. It's Sapuka and Taylor, and now Melville Priest thrown in for good measure as they go past the Suncoast Casino. Taylor looking to go up the inside. Well, he nearly clips the wall. In fact, he went very wide there looking to take the inside line into this turn, but Sapuka saw him coming and made him take evasive action. Gary Famata has a problem. He slowed right down, and Sapuka's going to fly right past him, as is Anthony Taylor. So Famata with some kind of problem there. I'm not quite sure what it is. And Anthony Taylor and Melville Priest has managed to get past Gary Famata. So Famata dropped way back in the field. And look at this, Taylor looking for a way past. Not this time. Sapuka shuts the door once again. And Chop Sapuka is having the drive of his life here, keeping the ex-champion at bay in that Castrol BMW. Sonic's my car Audi of Melville Priest just hanging on for dear life and saying if something goes wrong here, there's a good possibility I won't have to do any of the maneuvering that I did in the first heat to try and get past. Yeah, they come through Telkom chicane, and it's well, it's a continuing battle. Looks like Famata's got that problem sorted out. Not quite sure what that might have been. It could possibly have been a fuel surge of some kind, but he seems to be back on the pace again, and he's right on the tail of Melville Priest. So yeah, that problem is definitely sorted out for the third of the Sassel Nissans. Not quite sure. As I said, we'll have to keep an eye and see if anything comes up to let us know what happens with that car. But he's going to be under pressure now from Clint Weston, the third of the Castrol BMWs. DeCunha, Sapuka, Taylor, Melville Priest in the Sonax My Car Audi. And then it's Gary Formato who's falling into the clutches of Clint Weston. Look at that great maneuver there from Taylor up the inside of Sapuka. He saw the door open. Sapuka left it wide open. You don't do that to Anthony Taylor. He's going to capitalize every single time as they come through this right-hander and back down towards the main straight. Sean Watson-Smith has not been vetted yet. We're back with the leaders. And Watson-Smith is going to take the win here in heat number 2.
Leroy Polster took a sensible second place ahead of Jan Fourie, Etienne van der Linde, Marco de Cunha and the hard-charging Anthony Taylor. This time, Graham Nathan won in Class T, leading home Heinz Bozay, Robert Falk and Garth Verversky.